First Take is presented by Chase Freedom. The card is for the essentials. The cash back is for the fun. And in part by National Mortgage Lender Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power.
Kevin Durant, who is overseas as a part of Nike promotional tour, was asked by NBA Maniacs who is his all-time starting five, and this is who he came up with. At point guard, Magic Johnson, because he's a triple-double machine. Kobe Bryant, a five-time champion at shooting guard. Small forward is Michael Jordan, no debate there. Power forward, Tim Duncan, picking him over Karl Malone because of longevity. And Shaq, who he calls a dominant center. Will, who is your all-time starting five?
Humbly disagreeing with Kevin Durant. Here's my starting five.
Okay.
Magic, the same as KD, running the point. Jordan at 2. LeBron at 3. Tim Duncan at 4. And then a guy I think history is underrating as we go forward, Kareem at 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Kareem deserves way more credit than history has carried forward for him.
Will Kane and I unilaterally agree on something.
No.
Hey!
Same exact starting five.
Same exact starting five. And I it's funny you pointed out the Kareem thing, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Is I almost immediately was going to put in Shaq, and then I was like, wait a second. How are we, as we move farther away from his career, doing the opposite of what we usually do, which is just like rosy-colored glasses and glorifying? So, starting five exactly the same as Mr. Kane's.
All right, let's take it a step further, though. KD said he had to take Kobe over Bird, but you guys both went LeBron. Why?
I just think LeBron is perhaps history's greatest all-around player, from defense to scoring to assists to rebounds. And at the 3 spot where we have LeBron, that's what I want. I want an all-around player. I think Kobe doesn't play team ball. He's great, but on a team like this, I don't need somebody taking as many shots as Kobe would take. I'll let Jordan do that.
Yeah.
And the fact that LeBron has been criticized at times for not wanting to take that killer shot, that win the game shot, well, I've got other guys on this team, like Jordan, to take care of that. I want the all-around player that LeBron is.
And I take this seriously. I almost take it like I am standing in the gym, and I actually get to pick my team. Like, we might actually play with this team. That's how I think about it in my mind. It's not a collection of starting lineup figures where they don't actually play with each other. So I wanted a lineup that I actually thought was comprised of the best players and would actually play well together, which is why LeBron at 3 makes way more sense with Jordan than having Kobe in there with Jordan, because I don't know how that team would play well together.
Exactly.
So I also feel like we do this weird thing where we're like 5 rings equals you are a 5-time better player than someone with 1 ring. I don't ascribe to that theory. I think a lot of rings is your talent level, but a lot of the other part is like who you played with and the era in which you played.
I got to move us on, though, because Serena isn't the only dominant female athlete, and we've been talking a lot about her lately, rightfully so. It's the WNBA season. I want starting 5 WNBA all-time team.
I'm loving this. So I'm
glad I came up with that.
Yeah. Thank you. So I got Dawn Staley. I got Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. I got Cheryl Swoops and Lauren Jackson. I could explain them all here, but Swoops changed the game. Taurasi's like the magic of the women's game.
Yep.
Maya Moore, I'm rocking her kicks right now, so I had to put her on.
They're sweet.
Dawn Staley, 1996.
I ask for your approval on this, Kate. I've got Diana Taurasi running the point. That's right. Cynthia Cooper, Tamika Catchings, Cheryl Swoops, and then how do you leave Lisa Leslie off?
I just like Lauren Jackson better than Lisa Leslie.
How do you leave Lisa
That's
Leslie
just
off?
a personal thing. I like Lauren Jackson's game, so.
But my team's okay?
Your team's all right, as long as you got Taurasi running the point and you think it's a point forward situation, because otherwise you got no
bunch of threes.
you got no Sue Bird on there.
No Sue Bird. That was my backup.
Do you guys know that Taurasi actually isn't playing in the WNBA this season? She's resting for Russia, who plays her 10 times more than the WNBA.
Yeah,
just
be a topic some other time.
Thank you guys so much for hanging with us here on First Take. Will, Kate, fun as always. Great to have you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, and Skip and Stephen A will be with us. Enjoy your Labor Day. When the Eagles traded Matt Barkley to the Cardinals on Friday, it looked like Tim Tebow was going to make the team. Well, think again. Tebow was released by the Eagles on Saturday in the team's final cut down to 53 players. Eagles coach Chip Kelly offered the following reasoning.
We just felt like I think Tim's really progressed, but we didn't feel like he was good enough to be the 3 right now.
This move left the Eagles with 2 quarterbacks on their roster, Sam Bradford and Mark Sanchez, before they picked up Stephen Morris off waivers from the Jaguars. Tim Tebow thanked the Eagles on Twitter, saying this: "Thanks, Eagles, and Coach Kelly for giving the opportunity to play the game I love." Romans 8:28, #blessed. Kate, Why is Tebow having such a hard time making rosters?
Well, the number one reason is because he's not a great NFL quarterback. He is not a top 50 NFL quarterback. Absolutely. That is the number one reason. But the number two reason, and this is why I think Tim Tebow is like an interesting case study, is that in professional sports, I think we have this idea that it's 100% a meritocracy. Every single roster position goes to the player who on the field or on the court performs in the way that's needed to be performed. And while that is mostly the case, I do think in professional sports, the back end of rosters are often more about risk management. I think when you look across NFL or NBA and you're looking at GMs or the people who are making these decisions, there's a lot of this going on. When Terrell Owens was at the top of his game but was also standing on lawns and making press conferences, we put up with that because the talent was up here. Now, once that balance shifts, and in the NFL, you're not making a roster anymore. I mean, you look at Michael Sam. There's a lot of this happening, and that scale didn't come out in the right favor for Michael Sam to make an NFL roster. Now you look at Tim Tebow. I think that's a lot of what's going on, not being able to get a number 3 spot. Because he comes with a lot more than a number 3 player should come with. I think when people look at the NBA, they think it's the 480 best players in the world. I think it's the 350 best players in the world, and then 150, 130 guys who GMs know are going to show up. Nobody's going to want to talk to them from the media. They're going to do their job. There's not a lot of risk. You could go over to Europe. They found one in Chris Copeland when he came and played for the Knicks, who actually can play in the NBA. But teams don't know that. There's some of that I think happens in the NFL and that I think happens with Tim Tebow in terms of this balancing act.
So Tim Tebow is being punished by the media attention he brings onto a team?
Look, Tim Tebow's not a good enough quarterback to overcome the spectacle that he has become. Let's start with that. But then I think you do need to take into account what he means when you bring him into a locker room.
Tim Tebow also, on the other hand, gets credit for bringing intangibles to the locker room that a lot of other guys do not get credit for. And I don't doubt that Tebow does bring a lot of those intangibles. But to some extent, I would suspect it might balance out the negatives they're attributing to him as well. I would say Tim Tebow is not in the NFL because he's simply not good enough. You said he's not in the top 50 quarterbacks. So I would suggest he's not in the top 75, perhaps the top 96 quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, each team is carrying 2 quarterbacks at least. That puts you at 64, and many carry 3. In fact, the Eagles decided he wasn't worthy of the 3. At first, it looked like, wow, Barkley, he could be the 3. And then they cut him. It's like, maybe they'll just go with 2. No. They picked up a 3rd quarterback. It just wasn't Tim Tebow. So he's not in that top 75 quarterbacks. And I would say, I said earlier about mentioned guys who hadn't been given a fair shake. Vince Young, David Carr. Look at Tim Tebow. He's now had the chance, been picked up by Josh McDaniels, John Fox, Bill Belichick, Rex Ryan, and Chip Kelly. On that list of great coaches, perhaps the greatest of our time right now, Bill Belichick, and the guy who's being hailed as the most innovative, Chip Kelly. This is a list of coaches you would love to give you a chance, that you would love to play for. Tebow's had that chance, and all of these guys eventually passed. He's just not good enough.
And you may be right, and all of that may be right, that Tim Tebow isn't even in the top 90. I'm just pointing out also that there's a lot that comes with him. There's a lot that we don't talk about in pro sports about how guys number 15 on NBA roster, a lot of times they get the number 15 spot because they've been a number 15 before. They got drafted. They didn't go over to Europe. So I think that's a point to make about the lack of 100% meritocracy across sports. It very may well be that Tim Tebow is just completely not good enough to overcome all of that.
And to play devil's advocate, we don't have time to get into it. Some might look at it as positive buzz.
Totally.
The
devil has enough advocates, is what I always say to that.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It might be that some teams might bring him in because they want the Rex Ryan effect.
And no one has ever been able to.
We talked about Chip Kelly all preseason.
They want their team to be marquee.
Actually, we might have still talked about him anyway, but I correct myself there. Okay, moving on. There can only be one starting center. Did Shaq make the cut? We will reveal Kevin Durant's all-time starting 5 after the break, and I hope you guys have been tweeting us yours as well. We want to hear from you.